This video is brought to you by patreon.com/worsttake. Get access to exclusive live streams and Discord servers, on-screen shoutouts, and early access to some videos when you join now. Help make sure that we can continue to make content like this by supporting the Patreon. Links are in the description down below.
Brock Purdy stinks. I mean, come on. Like, first of all, I know we want to talk about it, so we're going to talk about it. First things first, how many of us carved out some time to watch this game on Christmas because we knew it was a very good chance that the Browns were going to get something good to happen? All the 49ers had to do was show up at home versus the Baltimore Ravens. Baltimore Ravens came out this game, man, trying to give it up. Getting a safety, giving up field goals. They was trying to let you win. But the 49ers were absolutely sorry. Now, look, we're going to talk about what happened this week that's good for the Browns and what happened this week that's not so good for the Browns and all of that. But I want to start here by talking about Brock Purdy. And it's a phenomenon that I'm all too familiar with because, unfortunately, I've participated in this with the same quarterback on both sides of the argument. And what I'm referring to is similar to what happened with Baker Mayfield when Baker Mayfield was in Cleveland. For those of you who don't remember, a lot of the hate around Baker Mayfield was because people were putting him on a pedestal that he just did not belong to. And when you put somebody on a pedestal, and I would not gonna lie, I put him on a pedestal that he didn't belong to, right? Because I was excited. I think Browns fans, for the most part, did it. We were excited. I think people were excited at the idea of the Browns having a franchise quarterback and it being Baker Mayfield, this scrappy guy. And it was just such a great story. And we all got excited. National media, Cleveland Browns fans, everybody, Oklahoma Sooner fans, we all got excited at this perfect narrative being true, that we didn't really stop to ask ourselves, hey, has he done enough to be up here where we trying to put him? Have we been critical enough about our arguments? Have we given him too much benefit of the doubt that we're going to come to regret later? We didn't do any of that. We put that man on a pedestal he didn't belong. And when you put somebody on a pedestal to which they don't belong, people who know what that pedestal should look like will take one look at that guy and say, hey, he doesn't belong. And the people who put him on that pedestal will not just simply respond with, oh, man, I thought he did. Why don't you? No, they respond with anger and vitriol and how dare you don't believe that this guy belongs on this pedestal. You are an idiot. You don't know ball. And then when that guy hears that, he goes, well, you don't know what you're talking about. And the people who like this quarterback are the worst people in the world. And then bam, you know what you have right there? Polarization. Now you took a player who is fairly non-controversial in Baker Mayfield, and you made him a polarizing figure because our excitement, our eagerness for this narrative to be true put him on a pedestal that he just didn't belong on far too early. And it forced too many people to say, hey, he don't belong there, which created the polarization with all the responses and how the internet is. It's a very personal experience from us, right? We all went through this. Some of us are still polarized to this day about Baker Mayfield. We'll defend him to this day, or we'll dog him to this day. But that's something that happened. We put him on a pedestal. We tried to throw him up there with all those dudes. He didn't belong up there, had a bad season. Then it all just people dig in even deeper. And then he has a good season. And then we get back and forth. We go back and forth. We go back and forth. And we don't even know why we're fighting. This is how polarization happens. The same thing happened this year to Brock Purdy, because last year Brock Purdy was just a fun story. Look at this guy who was Mr. Irrelevant, and he came in and he played super well, and he helped the 49ers get to a place that they probably wouldn't have got to if Jimmy Garoppolo was the starting quarterback. And how cool is that for Brock Purdy, this dude who was Mr. Irrelevant in the NFL draft, a draft choice that is always, almost certainly, well, irrelevant. And it was cool. There wasn't that many Brock Purdy haters at this stage of it. But see what happened as this season started and the 49ers got to a hot start and started winning more games. What happened was the people who were rooting for Brock Purdy got excited. They saw the opportunity for this narrative that they want to be true. Either you're a San Francisco fan and you see Joe Montana in him, or you're a former Brady fan that sees Tom Brady in him, and you say, this could be the next Tom. Look, he was a 7th round draft pick. This is just like Tom. He's just like Tom. You know what? He should win the MVP. And then bam, just like that, you put Brock Purdy on a pedestal he didn't belong to. Not that he wasn't a good player. He's a fine player. He's one of the best 12 quarterbacks in the NFL. But he's not one of the best quarterbacks in the NFL. He didn't belong on the MVP pedestal. We knew this because every time he lost one of the players that were better than him on his team, Deebo Samuel, Christian McCaffrey, we used that as an excuse for why he didn't play well. If Lamar Jackson's missing Mark Andrews, nobody cares about that with the MVP conversation. Pat Mahomes out here throwing to nobody. Nobody cares about that because we believe that Pat Mahomes and Lamar Jackson are the best players on their team. We think it does not matter who else is in or who else is out as long as they're in. We do not think that about Brock Purdy. Even the people who believe Brock Purdy should have won the MVP don't think that about Brock Purdy. But that didn't stop people from putting him on that pedestal because they wanted that narrative. They wanted him to be the next Tom. And that want, that eagerness, that energy put him on a pedestal he didn't belong to. So when he has his first bad stretch of games, people ready to knock him off. Because again, people looked at Brock Purdy being put at that pedestal and went, that don't look right. And just because they said that don't look right, some Brock Purdy stan came out of nowhere and told him, you don't know ball. You're an idiot. Look at the analytics, you stupid idiot. You just shut up. You don't know anything. And then that person was like, what are you talking about, man? Brock Purdy fans are the worst. I hate them. Brock Purdy fans don't know what they're talking about. They don't know ball. Bam, polarization. Polarization. Now, since that point, Brock Purdy has been a polarizing figure. Every time Brock Purdy has a bad game, the timeline goes nuts on him. You know who else this happened to? Trevor Lawrence, right? Trevor Lawrence had that good season, and we was just talking about how cool it was that Trevor got away from Urban Meyer, had himself a good year. Man, good old Trev. I hope he does live up to that potential. But no, we couldn't leave it at that. We couldn't leave it at that. We couldn't leave it at the fun. People had to go too far with it. Oh, he's clearly the next Andrew Luck. He's clearly up there with Pat Mahomes and them. I saw on ESPN, this ain't just anywhere, not on some dude's Twitter, on ESPN, somebody put a top 5 quarterback graphic up and they left Lamar Jackson off to put in Trevor Lawrence. Now, me personally, I saw Trevor Lawrence get put on that pedestal this summer and I'm like, well, that don't look right. Like he's like he has potential. He's a good prospect there, but like he ain't there yet. Like top 5 in the AFC. That don't look right. And I got met with, you're an idiot, Quincy. You don't know what you're talking about. You were wrong about this and that. You're an idiot. You don't know. Oh, shut up. Delete your account. And then Trevor Lawrence did what he did this season. And if you follow me on Twitter, you know I don't miss an opportunity to remind y'all how mean y'all were to me. Bam, polarization. Now I can't enjoy Trevor Lawrence because I'm mad at the people who put him on the pedestal and were assholes to me on Twitter. This is kind of what sports talk has kind of reduced itself to. So, yeah, that's what's going on with Brock Purdy. And that's the dangers of putting a player on a pedestal that they don't belong. There is nothing wrong with being excited about a player, loving a player and loving what that player is doing for you, but also stopping yourself of saying, hey, this player should be the MVP. Like, we don't got to go all the way. And I hope we do understand this. We don't have to go all the way. We really don't. We can stop ourselves when we feel like it's fair. Ain't nobody going to be mad. Everybody rooting for good things to happen for the Browns, but we don't got to go there. Right? Because when you put somebody on a pedestal they don't belong, it forces people to look at that pedestal and tell you that that person don't belong, which creates these arguments, which creates polarization. So that is what is happening to Brock Purdy. If you've noticed that the conversation about Brock Purdy has gotten a bit harsher over the last 6 weeks, well, that's why. If you notice what happened to Baker, what happened to all these guys, you can go through all of these guys down the list. It usually starts with something like that. Now, let's talk about how this all impacts the Browns. I hope you guys enjoyed that conversation to start the video. But let's talk about how this all impacts the Browns, because obviously the Ravens beating the 49ers, not great for the Browns, because now you need the Ravens to drop 2 in a row against Miami. Doable, right? Miami could win that. Even though I think if Miami wins, that almost kills the 1 seed for the Browns. Like, the 1 seed's dead. What did happen today was the 1 seed's dead. Now, I know the Browns aren't mathematically eliminated from the 1 seed, but in order for the Browns to get that 1 seed, I think you need the Ravens to lose 2 games and the Miami Dolphins to also lose 2 games. Man, I don't know about that one. Yeah, because the Miami Dolphins would basically have to lose out, right? They would have to lose against Baltimore. Well, no. They would have to win against Baltimore and then lose to whoever they're playing in the last week of the season. I don't think it's the Buffalo Bills, so it's probably like the Patriots. Yeah, and I don't know about that one. So I think the 1 seed's dead. I think it's going to either be Miami or Baltimore. But I think Cleveland's out of it for all realistic purposes. So the 1 seed's dead. Home field is not dead. For a number of reasons, right? If the Browns get the 5 seed and there are multiple upsets in the playoffs, the Browns will be the first team eligible that's a wild card to get a home game. So that is good news, right? If you get the 5 seed and if you win on Thursday, you basically clinch the 5 seed at the very least. So if the Browns beat the Jets, they're going to be the 5 seed no matter what. If the Browns beat the Jets and the Bengals, they'll be the 5 seed or they'll be the 2 seed. And if the Ravens lose 2 in a row. So that's the playoff scenario for the Cleveland Browns. And I think these are all solid situations, right? If the Browns can somehow find a way to win a division, if Baltimore loses 2 in a row, which I think is a little bit more likely than people are giving it credit for, they're going to be coming off of a super high, off of a West Coast trip after playing the San Francisco game. They might be on a low playing Miami. And Pittsburgh, like, hey, man, they do weird shit, and they're probably going to lose against Seattle, which means they're going to be 8-8 coming into this game. And you might get one of them weird Tomlin, I'm not going to finish under 500 games. And you they might lose those 2 games in a row. And the Browns could win all 2 of their last games. If that happens, the Browns will win the division. They will be the 2 seed. That would obviously be lovely because you'll play like, I think you play Buffalo. No. Buffalo would, no, you would probably play like Buffalo. So 2 seed would actually play the 7 seed. You'll play like the Colts. So you'll play like the Colts or the Bengals or whoever sneaks into that 7 seed. That's who you would play. So again, pretty cool. Pretty cool there if you get the 2 seed. If you get the 5 seed and you just win this game against the Jets, you might play the Jaguars or the Colts or the Texans, and that's cool too. So either way, you're playing AFC South, right? And that's kind of what you want. You would love to have it at home because we know how dominant this team is at home. But hey, man, I'll take it on the road. And hey, who knows? If you luck out, you can end up with a home playoff game because there's multiple upsets. And this is a year for multiple upsets. I'm just going to tell you right now, like some of these division winners this year look a little, you know what I mean? Like we had all those issues with Miami losing against good teams. Now they beat the Dallas Cowboys, who are a good team. They finally showed up against one of those. It is the Cowboys, and I don't know about y'all, but I feel like the NFC is very fraudulent, so I'm very hesitant to crown somebody for fixing a problem because they beat a team that we call elite in the NFC. I don't know. I kind of want to see it against the AFC, but there's no reason to believe that the Dolphins won't show up in the playoffs. So they're one of the solid teams in there, but they might be the 1 seed. The Baltimore Ravens are also the other solid team in there. But man, have you watched the Chiefs lately? They don't look like a team above a first round upset right now. And we've already talked about whoever wins the AFC South. Like, it doesn't look like that person or that team's going to be above an upset either. So there might be a couple upsets that happen. If that's the case, the Browns will have a chance to play a home playoff game. And that's awesome, right? That's super awesome. But that's my thoughts on this whole thing, on my reaction to Monday Night Football. Let me know what you think in the comment section down below. Y'all have a great day. Have a better night. Peace.